welcome to the Marinade, a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. Each episode we welcome musicians, actors, comedians, authors, visual artists, filmmakers, anyone who creates art to talk about how and why we make stuff. This is episode 215, and our guest is John R. Miller. John is a singer and songwriter from West Virginia who is truly one of the most unique voices in American music today. His latest record, The Great Unkowning, has been garnering high praise and is way up there on our list for the best of 2026. The album is 16 songs that clip along and cover a ton of ground. His live show is a masterclass in performance. If John ever gets near you, go see him live. And as you'll hear in this conversation, he's a hell of an interesting guy. This episode is special for a few reasons, including a Marinade first. My dear friend and Life's Greatest Hits co-host Jordan Foley joins the chat on this one. Y'all, we are both enormous fans of John R. Miller, and it was such a pleasure to have Jordan join me for my conversation with John R. Miller.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hey, John.
Oh, there I am. Hey,
there you are.
How's it going, man? Oh, not too bad. Sort of have to relearn how to use this stuff every time.
Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this. Jordan and I are both huge fans of yours, and it is such a pleasure to get to talk to you, but also just like what an honor to get to listen to this record. I've been a fan of yours for years, and I think this is the best thing you've made, and I don't say that lightly because I'm a huge fan. So thank you so much for all of this.
Hey, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you saying so, and thanks for having me.
For sure, man. Yeah, you've been on kind of on my list of dream guests for a little while. I've gotten to see you play live a couple of times, and it's always such a pleasure. I saw you at Laurel Cove Festival a couple years ago. More about that a little bit later, and then Orange Blossom Review down in Lake Wales. Yeah, that's one of my favorites every year. So that was a killer set too. Yeah, so just like to jump off, The Great Unkowning, incredible record. One of the things that jumps out at me is like it's pretty long, but it doesn't feel that way. Like every song lands, and I wonder like how conscious you were of the length and what those decisions look like.
Yeah, it did turn out. I mean, it's the longest thing that I've ever done. I think I went in with like 10 or 11 songs, and um, I wrote one in the studio. It was basically supposed to be another like 10 to 12 song record, but we ended up kind of um, getting through everything pretty quick, and it was so much fun playing with that band that I wanted to try a couple other things. So the songs by a couple of buddies of mine, Darren Hackward wrote "A World Away," and William Matheny wrote "If You Could Only See Me Now." And then the other couple of covers, the Georgia Satellites and the Dire Straits, were just like fun things to do while we had some extra tracking time. And we had a blast doing it. But then when we kind of got all the tracks back, I couldn't. It felt like I wanted to. It feels a little self-indulgent, but I loved everything so much that I just kind of wanted to put everything on there. So it was actually really fun, kind of sequencing a 4-side record. I never got to do that before. It's like it's the sequencing is one of my favorite parts of the process. I love making like mixed CDs and mixtapes and stuff. So that's always really fun. But this was an added dimension to that.
That's okay. Awesome. Yeah. Can we dive a little bit into sequencing? Because I am always pretty curious about that, like what your process looks like.
Yeah. Basically, once we get all the tracks back, I kind of put them all into a playlist, and I'll usually have a pretty good idea of how I want to start the record and how I want to end it. By the time we finish tracking everything, um, that seems to be pretty clear to me. This time it actually wasn't. The first two songs were originally switched around on this record, and um, I at very last minute um, decided to go with my gut, which was to start it the way that it turns out. But basically, just playing around with different blocks of songs, like 4 songs here, 4 songs there. How does everything flow? And I can usually visualize that in my head, but then I have to like, it's when I have to kind of listen back to the record the most and figure out how the end of one song goes into the next. Is it like everything has to kind of be balanced? I don't know. There's like a homeostatic element to it that um, I really enjoy. It's probably an OCD thing, but
Mm.
Feel you there.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man, that it's really cool to see how this album all came together, and like Jason said, it's one hell of a record. You mentioned "A World Away." That was our song of the week on our other
Ah,
podcast on Life's Greatest Hits. We go back and forth and choose a new song that we're digging for that podcast, and so Jason chose "A World Away," and I just wanted to ask, obviously you said, your friend wrote the song. Um, but there's a lot of collaboration there, I'm sure. What made you choose that song as the first single released for the album?
um, that I'm not super sure about.
Mm.
That
It's all good.
that conversation, like basically, there's like a back and forth involving like um the the team, the people at the label, and um like when it comes to the singles and stuff, and um it was actually uh it was actually my publicist Lucy Volpe who kind of insisted that song go first, and I was like, hell yeah, all right.
You felt
um
good about it.
that
Great.
Yeah, its song is really meaningful to me. Darren's a really old pal. I've known him for like 15 years. We go way back. He's from Southeast Ohio, and my old band, the string band that I was in called Fox Hunt, first met him kind of bumming around in Ireland, and he ended up. We convinced him to move to West Virginia and join the band, and so the last couple of years of that band, Jared was uh, sort of the other songwriter besides me in that. And then a couple of years after that, we all kind of got together, and he had a whole stack of songs, like an album's worth. So we ended up, along with a couple of other musicians that we knew, ended up making his first record, Signs and Wonders, I think in like 2012. And he's just one of my very favorite songwriters. He's really um, sweet and empathetic dude, really sharp uh, writer and great performer, really great performer too. But that song struck me uh, when I first heard it, um, and I still I love it so much. It really holds up. So I wanted to do something totally different with it because he on his record it's just like kind of piano and get a little guitar and ambient soundscapey stuff. And
Hmm.
I uh, I sort of purposefully tried to go in the opposite direction, but I but not totally I don't know, sidestep the original intent or feeling of the song, which is a weird thing to do, but I don't know. I asked him permission first, so
Well,
But that's yeah.
that kind of brings, yeah, I mean, the Dire Straits cover, right? Like how different that is from the original. It feels very much like your song. Like how comfortable are you with taking somebody else's song and totally re-envisioning it?
Um, I mean, it kind of depends on whether I think I could maybe pull it off. Um, and so sometimes I think I'm pulling it off, but I only figure out a couple of years after that that I haven't been pulling it off. Um, but I don't know. It's so much fun, and I just love songs so much, and so there are a ton of them that have really meant a lot to me over the years, and sometimes we throw them into the live set a lot. Like there's a bunch of covers that we've done. I mean, not a lot. You know, maybe once or twice a night we'll do a cover on a longer show, but I always try to do something that isn't just sort of paint by numbers with it and imitate the original. Um, it's more fun to kind of learn that and then crack into it and see how we might be able to re-envision something and still make it feel, I don't know, genuine to our intent, or the song's intent, really. I don't know. It's just another. It's I always get a lot out of that process. It teaches me more about what I'm doing, and usually opens some new doors when I'm trying to sit down and make stuff up. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally get that with playing covers, and that's a great segue into talking about some John Prine. For those who don't know, you and I met at You Got Gold a couple years ago when we both played at the Basement East, and it was just
Yeah.
great. Yeah, man, it was great to hang out with you backstage and talk and shoot the shit. Um, so, in terms of, obviously you have a heavy John Prine has a heavy influence on your songwriting. You can hear it aside from, personally knowing that. Could you elaborate a little bit on like how Prine has kind of like helped you develop this album more so in particular? I feel like there's a heavier influence there this go around.
Yeah, I feel like that stuff is always there just because his music was so foundational to what I feel drawn to in songwriting. And I first uh, found his music when I was about 18, 19, and got really obsessed with it for a handful of years. And so I feel like that is kind of always in there, no matter how I may or may not try to obfuscate it. It's it it's a tough thing to hide. Not that I'd want to. Um, he's just one of I think he's uh, just one of the all-time sort of perennially underrated greats. And I don't mean underrated in the sense that like people aren't like giving him his due. Just like uh, the the mainstream seems to have sort of moved on from that approach to songwriting, and I still think it's cool as hell, man. And he's one of the sharpest fucking songwriters that ever lived.
Yeah, man. There's always something to learn. I feel like every time I play any of his songs, even if I've heard it 100 times over, I still learn something new.
Yeah,
Um,
it grows with you. Each the songs grow with you. Like as you like when I was 18, I had a completely different relationship to a lot of those songs than I do as like I'm about to be 40. Um, it's just a totally it's kind of amazing. You don't really outgrow his body of work. It just sort of like ages with you in a way that it opens up there are new perspectives in the songs as you get older, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that for sure. I mean, I've been a Prime fan probably since I was 16 or 18, something like that for sure. But
Hmm.
yeah, same. There is something to the wit and wisdom that didn't hit me in the same way back then as it does now. I forget what I was watching the other day. The algorithm correctly served me up some John Prine, and I forget which song it was, but I just kind of I sat there kind of in awe of the simplicity of it, and but yet how deep it was. It kind of hit me in a different way even now, right? So yeah, it's good to hear you say that. I can definitely relate.
Yeah, man. One of the greatest.
I wanted to ask you about looking for a place to die. Um, there's so many standouts on this record. We could spend hours just talking about every single song, but
Real quick,
yeah,
we should
yeah, yeah.
also point out, I'll take this win from you real quick, Jason. Jason is terrified of death.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
like
I've been fighting a panic attack all day because I've been freaking out about death.
and
So, I'm doing better
I
now. Connecting with people always helps, but
yeah.
when I'm alone and have time in my own head, it's all I think about. And so this particular song was helpful for me. Um, and there's just like some man, I mean, like this verse, folks get scared, surveillance gets tighter, jails get fuller, but they ain't getting any wider. The market state defines your worth by what you got, and it's on and on and on, right? It's just banger after banger after banger. And I'm wondering like what your relationship is like with mortality.
Um, I mean, I think about it a lot. I'm pretty scared of the unknown and all that. I'm not really a Gnostic kind of guy. I I think that my the thing that I've gotten, the most positive thing that I've gotten from thinking obsessively about death at times in my life has been a sense of timeliness to the way I live my life. And um, you know, I always try to remind myself if I'm, it's falling into apathetic habits or getting into a rut that like um, it's all good, uh, but the clock is ticking.
Mm.
uh, and so I don't know. I try to have a fairly friendly relationship with death, um, just in terms of the inevitability of it. Um, I don't know. I do think about it a lot. I probably think about it more now than I used to, but
Well, yeah, I mean that approaching 40 thing. I'm 45, so that when I vividly remember turning 40 and thinking like, okay, if I get 40 more years, it was like such a, it's a milestone. It does get you thinking about, your mortality in a different way, and your body starts to act different, and you're
mhm.
much more reminded of your mortality as you approach and hit 40. So you have that to look forward to Jordan.
hey, I'll tell you straight up, I'm 37, and not to, have some TMI, but my balls have dropped in the toilet water once or twice. So like life is
Word.
happening. I'm getting older. I know that's a pretty grotesque way to describe it, but that's how I've been feeling
No, I
lately.
get, I get
Gosh.
it. I get it, man. Yeah, I try to I do my best with it to just keep the machine running as well as it can. But you know, I it I do slip, and I have to remind myself that I only get one of these. I don't know. I didn't even think that song was really as much about death. I wrote that one going on 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago. Um, and it's sort of the it to me, I think, sort of read like a kind of a tongue in cheek, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself then kind of a song. Um, but it kind of came out that way. But I guess it is sort of, I mean, yeah, it is sort of about dying also.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot, there's commentary in there, obviously, social commentary in there for sure, and that's something that I think reminds me of mortality too. Not to, I'll get off the death thing in a
Yeah,
second, but
for
that
sure.
just like how things are going in the world, and just sort of the collective anxiety we all feel for what's happening, nationally and globally. That comes out to me in that song.
Yeah, I think a lot about greed and how it tends to, I mean, there's probably a number of reasons why somebody would be motivated by greed for material wealth and things like that. But I don't know, man. Like it's you only got a pretty small blip of time here. Seems really stressful, and then you just leave behind a big nest egg and a trail of destruction. I don't know, man.
100%. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not motivated by money. Believe me, I want to make more than I am, but like I'm really not particularly motivated by money to my detriment sometimes, right? I yesterday had a conversation with a financial advisor about my retirement accounts and all this like very boring adult stuff. And one of the things that we started talking about is just how I spend so much time on my creative work. I'm a songwriter, I podcast, I write about music and culture, and it doesn't make me any damn money. And so, like, one of the things we were talking about is like how to think about how to almost from like a just a self-preservation standpoint, how to think about how to monetize those sorts of things. And it's a very
Yeah,
uncomfortable headspace for me.
yeah, it's a very strange thing to come to terms with. Um, I feel like I feel like to do it well, you have to have a healthy perspective of, you know, I'm I'm this is a game that has already been set up and established, and probably the most effective thing that I can do right now is to participate in that game because it's going to help me survive. This is the
Hmm.
paradigm that we live in. But it's always good to remember that it's just a game, and it's been set up so that there can be winners and losers. And I'm not even talking about regular rich folks. I'm talking about the ones that own those motherfuckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The that it kind of brings up a good point about just your storytelling, your ability to tell stories with your music, and then like meeting you in person and getting to talk with you, like we did, getting a sense of like who you are and what you're about. It's really cool to see that like, with your music you're putting yourself out there, and obviously, there is revenue to be coming in, and you're trying to make a living with it. Um really wasn't much of a question, just pointing it out that like, you really do put, like when I first started listening to your music, I felt like I knew who you were. And then
Hmm.
meeting you, it was like, oh, you're even more than what I could have anticipated. Like we had a
I'm more
really good
me than
talk,
you thought.
man. I was like, oh shit, he's really cool. Like even just beyond the music. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I remember that night very well. That was a really fun time. Yeah, I feel like it's it's kind of tough to come to terms with the relationship between art and commerce, but it is it's a means to an end if you kind of just want to do art or whatever, do the best you can to monetize it and keep you going so you can make more of it.
What did you guys talk about? I mean, I'm a fan of both of y'all. It'd be fun to just be hanging out backstage, chatting it up. What y'all?
Well, the first question I asked, I think, was like where to live in Nashville. Um, I remember that, but the big one was I was telling you about my buddy Kyle Keller and I going on the road, and we were listening to conspiracies, cults, and UFOs, and it was like late night. It was raining on the road, and you were like, you were like mid sentence on telling me how we should have listened to it, and then somebody like cut you off, and I was like, oh shit, I'd meant to ask you like what was that? I don't know if you remember this, but I was like, how should I listen to that song? Because we were like in the trenches on the highway coming home in the middle of a hurricane.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good way to. Was it at night?
Yeah, yeah. It was at night, it was
Yeah.
raining. We were in Georgia trying to get back down to Florida. And we just we like kept going back to that song on repeat, man. I mean, it's fun. It's just exciting. I just love that tune.
Oh, thanks, man. Jeff Taylor really elevated that tune a whole bunch. The piano player on it. Um, I I uh, I think he helped us all play a little better on that.
John, you in interviews and then also that I've read and then now here also, you give a lot. You seem to give a lot of credit to the folks that you play with and that are involved in your records. And I wonder where that like. I get a lot of gratitude off of you. It sounds like you have a lot of gratitude for the people in your life, and I wonder like where that comes from and how conscious you are of it.
Yeah, well, I definitely try to be very mindful of that. I we don't none of us lives in a vacuum, you know. I survived and still often survive on the kindness of strangers and friends, and we all kind of live under an umbrella. It feels a little different of a world now, but I when I was growing up, you know, we were all kind of putting on putting on local indie shows and stuff, local bands, and then getting on the road. It was trading shows with different bands and stuff. And I also have spent a lot of time playing as a side person for other people in their bands and things like that. And none of it is isolated at all. Is very it's a very connected thing. So you know anyone trying to uh, earnestly get into and navigate playing music for a living, I feel like we're like nobody's looking out for us if we don't look out for each other. Um, and the whole thing, I mean, everything is so fragile.
Mm.
So I'm deeply grateful for, you know, anyone who spends even a few minutes helping me to do something, to make something better. Because collaboration is how I grow. I think it's how we all grow most effectively and most quickly.
Mm.
Um, and so I enjoy learning in that way, and I also tend to enjoy the fruits of that labor more when it's not just a whole bunch of me, you know.
Mm.
I think there's something to be said for that too, John. Like you know, you have your name and you put your name on the record. It's your catalog, but you know, there's so many people that have helped you get to where you are, helped you, you know, be involved, whether they're musicians or not, you know, and I really admire that too, that you're able to take the time to, you know, acknowledge everybody that's helped you out along the way. You know, having a band myself over the years and really giving them as much credit as I can because they're amazing and they deserve it. You know, it's like it takes a village. It really does to even just to get your music out. It doesn't matter, you know, like your regional pool or your demographic. Like at the end of the day, like every, you know, there are people backing you. You have a team. So,
It's important to reinforce goodwill and
Mm.
to try to exercise it when you have it to spare. And I've always I never even wanted to put out any records under my own name. Like I was
Mm.
always a band guy. Like I always just loved playing in bands, but I always felt bad when like um they sort of broke up like okay, well, I know I was writing a bunch of the songs for this band, but I don't think I can just like take the band name and keep going, you know. Um so eventually it just kind of turned into, well, if I'm going to get some bar gigs, I guess I better uh, just give them my name and a CD. And then I just kept doing it like that. And um, I don't know, it weirds me out. Like I love playing in a band because it it's it's such a beautiful relationship that you can develop with people. It's a pretty unique and rare kind of thing for at least for adults these days to be able to have something like that. And it's people to share your losses as well as your victories with, you know. And those are kind of hollow if you don't have anyone around to share them with. I mean, the losses maybe not so much, but
That is so one of the questions I usually say for the end, but I'm gonna bring it up now because it makes sense. Is I've just been thinking a lot and talking a lot about community. You know, Jordan and I both live in Orlando, and we have a really special community of folks here. Both in the songwriter community and then just like our friends. And I think we do a pretty good job of, even though life gets in the way, I think we do a pretty good job of checking in on each other and keeping up and connecting. And I'm wondering what you're doing right now as we all need community so much. Like what community looks like for you now, how you're plugging into it. Are there ways you're fostering it yourself?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I I I've been probably more isolated this year than I had in the past, and I need to watch that because I
Hmm.
come from I come from an agoraphobic people. Um, I I I have sort of struggled to figure out how to engage with that as well here as much as I could have in a like a smaller town. I most of my life before Nashville was pretty based in a very small community, and um, I don't know. It felt easier to know what to do or how to engage. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I
Hmm.
That's a really good question, and I think about it a lot. But at this moment, I'm probably uh, I'm probably not getting out as much as I should.
Hmm. Well, I hopefully maybe this will spark that, right? Maybe
Yeah, yeah,
that, maybe this will spark that.
yeah. And I might be overlooking some stuff. Um, this it's been it's been like 6 months, I think, since we've been on the road, so my brain's sort of been like in fall apart, pick up the pieces mode. Um, we're getting back after it, and I'll sharpen up again. But
That brings up a good point going on tour. You went over to Europe for a little bit. What was that
yeah.
experience like? Was that your first time, or have you been out there a good bit before?
No, yeah, me and Tom back in January, Tom Nato plays guitar and steel with us. We went, it was the UK and a little bit of Ireland. So we did like a bunch of England, did Glasgow, and then we did Belfast, and then we also did Dublin. Um, I've spent a lot of time in Ireland, more when I was younger, playing with a string band. We went over and spent like, you know, a month and some change at a time, a few times, sort of basing out of Donegal in Ireland, uh, and I really I love it there a whole lot. I haven't been to England as much, but I've still been over there a bunch with various bands. I've been to Europe a bunch. Uh, Played with a band called the Hackensaw Boys out of Virginia for a little while. That went to Europe with them a few times. Pat Reedy went over there with him. Uh, Fox Hunt went over. Chloe and I did. I guess our most recent like Europe trip, like actual Europe trip, would have been with me and Chloe and JP Harris like 3 years ago or something like that. And that was a 6 week long death march kind of style, you know. Um, I hadn't really missed doing that so much. I like to get in and out in about 3 weeks or less now.
Okay, I
uh,
was gonna ask you a similar question because I think that like there are a few songs on the record that feel like to me kind of romanticize the road. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I am curious what your relationship is like with the road. I mean, I'm thinking about like like steering wheel drums makes me just want to like, get in the car and go.
Wow.
Um
I was steering wheel drums is like Toll Booth was my favorite of your singles, and then hearing this album, Dude, Steering Wheel Drums is a hell of a song. And
So
like
good.
it's relatable,
Thanks, man.
especially if you're on the road a good bit. Like you've tapped
Yeah,
the steering wheel a time or two, you know?
yeah. It ended up kind of there's a lot of there are a lot of West Virginia references in that. There's a bit to it's kind of written about a couple of friends of mine, um,
Mm.
depending on the verse. But yeah, a lot of the I don't know. I'm sort of metaphorically challenged in a way. I feel like I gravitate towards the metaphors that are just so often around me, or I'm literally writing in the fucking van or whatever, you know. If
Mm.
I'm by myself, I do that a lot. But um, I don't know. If I romanticize, I definitely romanticized it when I was young. It's part of the reason that I wanted to travel and play music, and you know, it looked like freedom to me. And but I if I do romanticize it anymore, now it's sort of maybe a survival mechanism.
Mm.
uh, it's if you think too much about how much it sucks, sometimes you know it's probably time to maybe try a different angle. But I don't
Yeah.
know. It just is what it is. It's people people write about where they live, and a lot of the time it feels like that's where I live.
Mm.
Yeah, like living on the road. Yeah, as you know, we've talked about this before about going on the road and I'm starting to, dip my toes a little bit into further, building my outreach and playing shows, beyond just Florida and everything. So, do you have any tips or tricks on things I should probably keep in mind as I start to do this more?
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I could probably make you a little chat book or something. Uh, don't don't. It's going to sound really like really obvious stuff, but man, it's so important. Don't eat like shit and stay hydrated and make sure you're getting at least 6 hours of sleep a night. If you do all of those things, like getting enough fiber, super fucking important. Drinking a lot of water, super. Most of the stuff is just like digestive stuff because
Right.
you need that to be working
Yeah, man.
when you're on like when you're on a time crunch and you're driving around and everything. Um, not to mention how much it can fuck you up to just not be taking care of yourself. But that really is the most important thing. And if you're traveling with other people, you know, um, just trying to be mindful of, you know, how much how much space you're taking up at any given moment. You know, um, it's it gets pretty important to read the room when you're living in a van with the same three or four people for a month, you know?
Absolutely. I
Micah
think
Schnabel once told me about touring that as much as you think you're putting up with somebody else's shit, they're putting up with yours. And that just
100%,
I
man.
think about that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. I've heard that same thing put in a few different ways. Mike was sharp, man. I haven't
Yeah, he
seen him in
is.
a while, but I used to go see Two Cow Garage when I was before I really started doing this, like probably back in like '06 or 05 or '06. Um, love that dude. Those
Yeah, he's the
dudes.
best. Yeah, he's been so good to me. He was one of the first guests on the Marinade. I was been a huge fan, big Two Cow fan. I think what Micah does is just so unique. His solo stuff is
Yeah,
so unique, and I think he's one of our most important writers right now.
yeah, man.
He's-
He's totally fucking fearless too. He kicks ass.
hell yeah. Okay, I have a question for you about it's Laurel Cove Festival related. A couple years ago, I went to see you at Laurel Cove, and are you familiar with the for folks listening, a little more context, the taxidermy uh, raccoon Cleve Carpenter? who is like the mascot of Laurel Cove.
Oh, ah, I
He
feel
sits
like
he sits on the front
I
of the
feel
stage.
yes, I've seen that thing. I didn't know that it had a name.
Okay, it has a Twitter account, and
Oh,
uh,
I
pro-
don't.
probably it's he's a hard drinking, partying raccoon, and about once a week he tweets out, has John R. Miller is John R. Miller releasing music today? And he spells your name. He spells the Rare, but it's at least once a week. And I was wondering if you were aware of it because it's a
Oh my God.
really fun phenomenon. Old Cleve Carpenter's a big fan of yours.
No, but I love that. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for Cleve this year. I'm looking forward to getting back there. John Grace is my old buddy, and we just really love the folks that run that thing. I guess
It's a
it makes more sense to have a hard partying raccoon than like a pious, church going raccoon. But uh, sorry, I cut you off.
No, no, not at all. But that festival is really special. I've only been once. I usually for the Marinade cover Bonnaroo, and the last 2 years it's been on the same weekend as Bonnaroo, so I haven't made it back up there. I didn't make it there last year, and I won't make it this year. But there is something special about that place, and um, I wonder as you think about like all the places you've played, if there's sort of a through line between the ones that stand out, whether it's festivals or particular venues, like some sort of like how the magic happens, because I think we can all relate to like sometimes you like for example, I played a show at Binks downtown here, a venue here in Orlando the other day, and there was just something special about that night, and I can't quite put my finger on it, right? Other than just everybody, I mean, sure, everybody was listening, everyone was paying attention, but I wonder over the years if there's like a magic sauce that you've figured out to like why some places are like Laurel Cove are so special.
Um, well, it certainly the ones that are community oriented, but also I think it takes some real genuine and open minded and open hearted music fans to
Hmm.
successfully facilitate that. You can have all the financial backing in the world, but um, that your festival could still be really miserable. And so in some ways that there is a correlation there probably if we looked at it. The very corporate festivals just are pretty they get pretty exhausting really quickly, and I I love the festivals that I don't know, where it feels like everybody kind of knows everybody even if they don't. Maybe it's just a size thing, but uh, it's hard to it's maybe a little nebulous how that all comes together. We have made an observation before in the band that like there's definitely um, you could definitely tell when like a festival is run by like a band or musicians
Hmm.
because it like there's it was got the good snacks and there's like a massage chair but um and everything is just sort of run so that like you can be you can be a total fucking dummy and you'll still figure out where you're supposed to be. uh
Yeah.
I love that.
I think there's something to be said for that too. I just recently played at the Wood Shop Listening Room in Chattanooga. I don't
Mhm.
know if you've ever heard of it, but it's, a small listening room out there, and it's run by a married couple who play music. The one guy, he plays blues, and they do a bunch of events. I mean, they're running like 300 shows a year out of their venue. But I think there's something to be said for even just music venues that are being run by musicians who they fucking get it. You know, they get what
Yeah,
you're doing, they get what you're going through, you know, they get what it's like. I think there's a sense of like semblance, you know.
yeah, it's equal parts like supportive and also like re uh, it can be like relatably cynical in ways that it's just like, all right, I don't have I you could sort of we're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I do a lot of projecting, so
All good.
uh,
I did want to ask you real quick, Jason. I'm sorry to
yeah, yeah, for sure.
jump
No,
in. I'm
please.
sure you've been asked this a handful of times over the years, but you know, coming down, you know, that song really resonated with me, and I'm not just saying it because of, you know, Childers, you know, the Red Barn take. But if you don't mind, would you kind of give us a little bit of rundown on how that came about, where that's, you know, like you wrote that song, it ended up with Childers to put on his Red Barn album, and then, you know, you were able to, you know, do it how you want it and put it out there. Can you give a little bit of backstory on that?
yeah. That song I actually wrote. It's probably around 2010. Um, and I was playing at a rock band called Prison Book Club, um, which also included my buddy Adam Meisterhans, who helped me produce both Depreciated and the new record, plays guitar. Um, and Yeah, Coming Down was on a Prison Book Club album. It's just self-titled. Tyler, we knew from being around Huntington, um, and playing the clubs down there. Tyler was I think he maybe had already moved over to Huntington, but he was there for a couple of years, I think. But we used to play a bunch of shows with him, Prison Book Club, and um, other bands. We did some stuff with the Fox Hunt too. Uh, he was he was probably 18 when I first met him.
Mm.
I'm only I'm just a few years older than him, but I can't quite remember when that was. However, he I didn't know that he had done the song on Red Barn until they we our mutual buddy um, Ian Thornton asked if Tyler could include that on the record, basically. And this was maybe 2015, 16. And I was like, hell yeah. He sings a lot better than I do.
About that. I think you guys both have a, you know, a way of making it your own, which, like, going back to what we were talking about with the covers on, you know, this album. I mean, Walk of Life, we already talked about it, but like while I was listening to it, I was like, "Oh shit, Dire Straits." I was like, it took me a second to even acknowledge the song because I was like, it sounded like a song from you. So I think that was what's really cool. And you know, Jason and I talk about covers a good bit because, you know, I played bar gigs over the years. You play a lot of covers. It helps you kind of build your catalog where you're going with things. It helps you learn how to write yourself. You know, we take so much from other artists. I think it's just inevitable. As long as we're able to kind of create, you know, have our own creative flow of things, right? So yeah, with that song in particular, I've been wanting to ask you that for a good bit because Coming Down really hit me hard when I first, well, just when I first heard it in general, and then come to find that you wrote it, I was like, oh shit, man, that's even more powerful, you know. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. You know, I I couldn't have imagined that song would have made it into so many ears. And I'll always be grateful to Tyler for that. Uh, uh, yeah, you know, I you never know how any of this shit's gonna work out. So um, it's it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. John, this has been such a pleasure, man. We usually start to kind of wrap things up with what you're getting down on. So that's the art that has you inspired at the moment. It could be music you're listening to, could be a book you're reading, TV show.
Yeah, music for sure. My favorite record this year, I think it's from this year so far. It might have been from the end of last year. Um, it's probably Ryan Davis. Y'all ever hear Ryan Davis? Ryan
Yeah.
Davis and the Roadhouse Band. His new
Yeah.
record, New Threats from the Soul, last year, man, fucking masterpiece.
Mm,
Utterly incredible stuff. Um, and obsessively listening to Big Thief.
mm.
Um, really hope that they put out a new record sometime soon because I've worn out all the other ones. Um, oh, what else? There's there's so much stuff. I'm always jumping around. I between like old stuff and new stuff. I'm always trying to make sure that I'm listening to the new stuff. Oh, the new Kurt Vile record that just came out is great too.
So good.
Um, yeah, he's been just knocking them out of the park for a while, man.
Yeah.
Um, what's another one? I've been what have I been reading? I just read the uh, the book about Kevin Shields, Turn My Head into Sound. It's about Kevin Shields and My Bloody Valentine. He's a guitar player from My Bloody Valentine. That was
Mm.
a book that came out last year. And that was really cool. Um, I also I just found this old edition, or this not old, this nice newer edition of Way of the Samurai. So been reading that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just always jumping around, uh, trying to trying to find stuff to fill my brain with that isn't rotting. You know.
Yes, I definitely know. Yeah, I've been reading a ton, and I'm a teacher by day, so like I've got a lot of time on my hands right now in the summer. And what I recognized this morning was like I have been spending too much time letting my brain rot. I have been spending too much time on my phone, like in the mornings and so forth. So I made a conscious decision today. Like I'm gonna go for a walk with the dog. I'm leaving my phone here. I'm bringing a book with me. We're gonna find a quiet place to sit, and I'm gonna read, and have my notebook with me and jot some things down because it's just amazing to me how much better I feel when I'm reading and writing regularly.
Yeah, we take for granted how that we do have that agency. Even it it's really liberating when you can get to a place where you can actually make that decision because man, we get cracked out on a dopamine binge. It is tough to walk away from. Um,
Yeah.
so being I agree, and I try to be really mindful and intentional sometimes when I need to step away from screens and I, I I will also just leave my it frustrates everybody that in my life because I don't even know where my phone is half the time, and I sort of do that on purpose, but it's not like I'm trying to hide it from myself. I've gotten to a point where I think about it very little.
Oh yeah.
Same. Oh yeah. I frequently leave my phone at home, and even when I go to work, like I'll leave it at home all day, treat it like a landline. I go through periods of time where I don't take it with me at all, and it does drive the people in my life crazy. But I don't understand where we got to a place where we expected people to respond to us in 30 minutes, or less. Because sometimes you got to be focused on doing stuff. I know I'm a little extreme on it, but still, um, that's good to hear.
It's an extreme time. It's an extreme shift that we are still not, you know, equipped to. We ca- we we can't evolve the capacity to deal with that
Mm,
quickly. You know, to deal with that access to information, whether it's real or not. Just that bombardment. We're running on, as far as we know, at least 50,000-year-old hardware, and we just fucking discovered Pandora's box like 15 years ago. So
mm.
trying to step away.
I just think everybody should take a note out of my wife's notebook that she loses her phone every single night.
Yeah. Well, so,
And,
yeah, my wife does the same. Chloe's. I'm always trying to find Chloe's phone, but starting to lose mine now too. So
you know, maybe
That's
we should
awesome.
start losing them intentionally. But that reminds me though, give Chloe my best because it was really cool meeting y'all when we had the chance, and I can't wait to
yeah,
talk with you.
man, I will. I will. She's going out on the road on these runs this summer too. So
Oh
she'll
yeah.
be in the band.
Awesome. John, thank you so much. Jordan, did we miss anything?
No, man, we nailed it. You know, hit the nail on the head. John, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to, having your album out and getting to listen to it, and can't wait to talk to folks about going and give it a listen. So
Yeah,
the so
we'll
good.
definitely do our part to help spread the word.
Man, thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, man. Have a good one. Thank you
Talk
again.
to you later. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
man. Bye. John R. Miller, y'all. Thank you so much, John. Thank all of you for listening. jrmillermusic.com for all things John R. Miller. jordanfoleymusic.com for all things Jordan. Jordan recently finished recording a new album. Make sure to follow him on all the socials so you don't miss any updates about that. marinadepodcast.com for all things the Marinade. Follow us on the socials. Tell somebody right now about the show. Somebody you think would enjoy this. Find a friend. Tell them about the show. Subscribe and give us a 5-star rating on your podcast app. These are all free ways to support the show, y'all. And it makes a big difference for us. Also, follow Life's Greatest Hits on Instagram so you can get updates about my other show with my dear friend Jordan. We also post the releases, the album releases that we're excited about each Friday. And then on Mondays, we alternate a song of the week that we're excited about. If you really like what we're doing on this Marinade thing, please consider joining our Patreon community, y'all. For just $2 a month, you can gain access to Patreon exclusive content like our show Jason's Journey, where I talk about the moments that shape my creative life and provide a window into the process of making the Marinade. Y'all, I am at like a really interesting, sort of scary crossroads career-wise. If you've listened to this show long enough, you probably know that I'm a middle school teacher, a public school teacher, mostly middle school. By day, that's what pays the bills. And the situation politically in Florida has become untenable for most of us, especially those of us who really believe in public education and fundamental rights and basic freedoms. It's tough, y'all. It's really tough, and tougher than even the headlines let on. And I don't know how much longer I can do it. It has been my goal for a long time to make creative work my full-time job. And for a while, it's felt like I was close. And, even though the money's not there yet, I do really feel like we are real close to podcasting, writing, and now my music together providing a living. So I'm kind of looking to potentially pivot and sort of teach part-time to make sure that I got some income coming in. But I'm really going to ramp up the push for the Patreon and write a lot more. And also, if you have ideas, right now what I've been doing mostly is I've been writing so many songs that I'm kind of offering a little bit of a window into the process of writing the songs on the Patreon. And if that interests you, I'll keep doing it. If there's something else that interests you, if there's something that you would like to, like for me to create over there, I'm going to really ramp this up. I feel like there's some momentum with all of the creative work, and that would be the dream, to do this full time and to tell stories full time. So now would be a great time to join the Patreon, guys. You can try a free trial and see if you like it. And then no pressure. Try it for 7 days. Set a reminder on your phone in case you want to cancel. Keep going if you dig it. I also have a Substack that I have not done much with. So, and part of the reason I haven't done much with it is that no one's really asked me to, I guess. I haven't, it doesn't seem like people are more into Substack than they are into Patreon. If you are, let me know. Give me that feedback so that I'm happy to write more over there or post other things on Substack. I just haven't, there's just not a lot of followers over there, and I haven't gotten a lot of traffic. So again, tell me if you want me over there. I can be over there too. If you want to support the show financially, but you don't want to commit to a monthly subscription, I totally get that. You can Venmo or PayPal us at the Marinade. I am finished. Everything's done. It's mixed. It's mastered. Everything's ready to go with my debut record. The only thing I'm really waiting on now is the artwork, and then I really want to get some merch made, but I need some help with that. So on the Patreon, there are different tiers where you can contribute a little bit more money and get a shirt or a CD copy of the record. If you could just chip in $1, it would make a huge difference for me. Just Venmo me a couple of bucks, it'd make a big difference. So that's where we're at right now. I'm putting all my eggs in the creative basket, everybody, and I feel good about it. I feel like this is the right move for me right now. It's time to take a risk. It's time to take the risk. And so thank you all for listening, first of all. Above all else, I'm just so grateful that you listen and spread the word about the Marinade. Yo, John R. Miller, and the next few episodes are incredible too. I've got a conversation with India Ramey coming. I mean, just so much good stuff that's happening with the show. So thank you. And until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.